Okay, the next problem I want to look at, oh, I keep on hitting the wrong thing, I'm sorry. There we go. The next problem I want to really tackle would be problem number 46. Right there. And here we go. They have a diagram associated with this problem. I'm going to copy that down as well. And let me see where that is. It's right here. So, here's a diagram. Let me read it really quickly and figure out what we're doing. In this case, in an attempt to fly from C to L, a distance of 330 miles, that's very good. A pilot makes an error and flies at a course that's 10 degrees off the original course shown in the figure. If the airplane maintains an average speed of 220 miles every 1 hour, and if the error in the direction is discovered after 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes, if I take 15 minutes and convert that to hours, each 1 hour is 60 minutes. That will be 1/4 multiplied by 220 miles. That should give me, what is that? 55 miles. So basically what we know, this pilot flew for 55 miles before discovering the mistake. Through what angle should the pilot turn to head towards Louisville? Well, let's see. The triangle looks like this. So, basically, if I'm looking at this triangle, ignoring the 3D, the angle that they're asking about, this angle right here, is really this angle right here, beta. It's outside of the triangle. So this is my thought. My thought, let me find this angle, call it theta, and then take 180 minus that. And that tells you in what degrees, assuming this is 0, or you could say from the east. I'll name that once I'm done. So in this case, I notice I have two sides and the angle in between. I can't use the law of sine, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to find this distance, I'm going to call it x, and x squared would be 55 squared plus 330 squared minus 2 times 55, 330, the cosine of angle theta. I'm sorry, the angle of 10. The cosine of 10 degrees. And I'll get x to be, when I square root both sides, how many miles would that be? That would be 276 miles about. Now, I could say the sine of 10 degrees to 276 equals, and notice, I'm going to call this C. I'm going to find the sine of C to 55. And I'll point out what the reason is, and B would be C. Angle C would be 1.98 degrees, or 178.2 degrees, but I know that can't be true. So if this is a 1.98 degrees, I know the angle that I'm interested in. I know that angle theta is 180 minus 10 degrees minus 1.98 degrees. This way, I don't have to worry about the ambiguous case. In the two cases, I am certain. So any chance I have, I'm going to use the law of sine. I will find an angle that is opposite of a smaller side, not the biggest side possible. Because it might be bigger than 90, it might be less than 90, I'll play it safe. Now, to answer the problem that I want, I know that theta plus beta is 180 degrees. And 168.02 degrees plus beta equal 180 degrees, which means angle beta, which is what I want, is roughly 11.98 degrees. Now, if you say 11.98 degrees, in trig, that's understandable. You started on the positive and you're heading up, but if you do navigation, it would be better to say you're starting on the east and you're heading 11.98 degrees toward the north. And that would be the answer for part A. As for part B, what new average speed should the pilot maintain so that the total time of the trip is 90 minutes? Well, they don't want to change the time. You know the time is 90 minutes, which is 1.5 hours. You could get that by taking 90 minutes, and each 1 hour is 60 minutes. And just reduce, and that's how you get the 1.5. And we know that distance equals rate times time. The distance in this case is 276 equals, the rate is 220 times, the rate is what we're looking for. The rate is 220 miles per hour. However, oh man, the rate is what we're looking for. The time, it's supposed to be 90 minutes, which is 1.5 hours. But we already traveled for 15 minutes, and we said that was 1/4 of an hour. So either you take 90 minutes minus 15 minutes, and that will be 75 minutes. And when you convert it minutes to hours, you will get that to be 1.25 hours. And then your rate should be 276 divided by 1.25, which is 220.8 miles per hour. You'll notice that it's a modest increase of 0.8 miles per hour because it didn't travel that far. If it would travel a lot longer at longer distance or for faster, that would have changed. So you're only off by 0.8 of a mile. Later on, I'll be making my own problems on this, in which this will make a bit more sense. Now I want to look at one more problem, and that will be problem number 50. And again, it's associated with a diagram. I'll show you that. So if I take this diagram, and I glance at it. Okay, it says, finding the length of a guy wire. A radio tower 100 feet high. Okay, we get the tower, it's right there. That's 100. I'm sorry, 500 feet high. 500. It's located on the side of a hill with an incline of 5 degrees. Okay, we see it. See the figure? How long should two guy wires be if they are to connect to the top of the tower, be secured on 2 points 100, okay, I see it, 100 feet above and directly below the tower. Alright, so let me redraw this really quick. I'm looking at a tower, and the height of the tower is 500. and it is at an incline. I'm going to exaggerate the incline a bit. Now, if this is 5 degrees, and the 500 doesn't look very appealing. Here we go. If I am going to secure this, let's say right there, this is X, and I'm going to secure it on the other end, call this Y. I know this is 100 feet, and this is 100 feet. Well, one thing for sure, this right here, those two must add up to 180, so this is 85 degrees. And I'm doing this the longest way. There are many ways you could do this faster. Since this is a straight line, that makes this 105 degrees, and since this is a straight line, that's automatically 85 degrees. So, if I'm looking at this triangle, I could say x squared is 100 squared plus 500 squared minus twice 100 times 500 times the cosine of 105 degrees. And that means x would be 518.4 feet. So I know this is 518.4 feet. And if I call this side y, looking at this triangle, I know that y squared equals 100 squared plus 500 squared minus twice 100 times 500 times the cosine of 85 degrees, and that would tell me that y equals 501.3 feet. The homework on this section: HQ. Homework would be section 3.3. This is on page 188. I'd like you to do numbers 1 through 31 every other odd, number 43 through 49 odd, and I want you to skip problem number 47. And along with this video, I'm going to upload the PDF as well.